'Tis the season for a bit of festive cheer, and what better way to kick off the merriment than by visiting the production locations of one of my all-time favorite Christmas films, The Holiday. My name is Ashley, and last May, while on a much larger adventure tracking down locations for Wicked, I found myself near the Surrey Hills, a breathtaking countryside in England and the fictional home of the hopelessly charming Miss Iris Simpkins. It's a place I've wanted to visit since I first saw the film in 2006, and though I didn't swap houses like Iris and Amanda, I still channeled my inner main character by booking a stay right in the town where it all happened. Did I find all of the movie spots in the area? Well, you can bet I did my absolute best to find as many as possible, even if I took my job a little too seriously. A mere 35 miles outside of central London sits the village of Shere, a quintessential English retreat, humble in nature and tended to proudly by its loving residents. I arrived late in the afternoon by train at Gumshall Station, sadly just missing the very infrequent local bus. Ahead of me was a 20-minute walk into town. Much like the movie, I quickly found myself shedding layers and dragging my suitcase along, grateful for the snowless sidewalks. It was springtime after all. Interestingly, my trip to Shere coincided with the announcement of the new pope, and as I made my way through the forested path, there was a sudden surround sound of church bells ringing out atop every hillside. It was quite the greeting and served as my musical accompaniment while stepping foot into my picture-perfect Airbnb. If you plan to visit this village for your love of the film, I could not imagine a more idyllic accommodation than this apartment. Not only is it in the center of town, but it is directly across the street from the pub where Amanda and Graham officially hit it off. Don't worry, that's where I've reserved a table for dinner tonight, so we'll be there in just a few minutes. The apartment features a cozy living room, complete with a DVD collection recognizing its target audience, a small kitchenette, spacious bedroom, and tidy bathroom. Outside rests a sturdy patio and garden for your enjoyment. As I readied myself for the evening, I flipped through the extensive guest book, enjoying all the adorable messages from fellow moviegoers and travelers. And if you book a stay here, I'd be curious to know if you managed to find my little note. I'll leave a link in the description of the video. 10 seconds away from the home sits what I would say is the iconic White Horse pub. As if plucked directly from the film, both the exterior and interior are exactly as I had imagined them to be, seemingly unchanged by the years. And this is precisely why I love finding real-world movie locations. You get to step right into a fictional space that has, in some way, brought you so much joy. On a late Wednesday night, I found myself among only a few other patrons and selected a table in the front room, near to where Graham met his friends for a drink. The location is marked by a framed poster above the table. For dinner, I indulged in a delicious mushroom and ale pie and paid a small tribute to Amanda Woods with a Pinot Grigio. Or was that just my way of summoning Jude Law? Who's to say? And for dessert, I enjoyed a decadent berry tart. After my meal, I asked if it would be okay for me to wander around the restaurant a bit, and soon came to learn how big it actually is. More than that, I was fascinated to learn an unexpected tale about its resident haunting, presumably a young girl who died in a fire nearly 150 years ago.
Yeah, she's found right there.
What year?
18. No, I think she was from like the year 1880 or something.
Jeez.
The 1800s. She was hiding from smugglers.
My very kind waiter walked me around the restaurant detailing some of his experiences at the White Horse.
You'll hear footsteps in the kitchen and they'll be like closed down. The kitchen's closed now, but like you'll just hear like...
That's gotta be scary if you're here just closing up by yourself.
Yeah, I was here at 12:30 one night and the glass just flew. I was the only one here. It was freaky.
Yeah.
I thought all the people played a joke on me because it was my first 6 months here and glass just flew off.
If you've been with my channel for any length of time, you know I was hoping to see this ghost myself. But alas, it was just a quiet night in the pub. And a memorable one at that. Early the next morning, armed with photos for reference, I set out on a stroll around town, eager to uncover all the filming locations in the area. If anything, this was, in my opinion, the best way to actually get to know Shere. My treasure hunt took me through cozy village streets, past peaceful waterways, and into the sleepy countryside where the world was just beginning to stir awake. The dew-topped fields, idle in the crisp air, complemented the melodies sung out amongst the trees. And as sunlight poked through the foliage, I could not think of a single more peaceful place to be. My first stop was a pathway on the edge of town, hosting at least 2 recognizable spots from the movie. I continued on, hoping to find the graveyard where Amanda once stood fashionably frustrated in the snow. With 2 cemeteries in the area, I tried my shot at the first one, but to no avail. Another tricky spot for me to find was the location where Amanda begrudgingly dragged her luggage through the countryside. To Shere's credit, there are many beautiful spots in this area that look just like this. Scenic vistas framed by ancient tree-lined pathways. I'd be lying if I said I found the exact trees she walked between in this shot, but I'm pretty confident in saying that I was probably in the right vicinity. As I made my way back into the village center, I found myself among a few other early risers beginning their day. Storefronts were opening up, and a calm and practiced energy hummed between the locals. The main, or middle street, can only be described as a postcard, with character defined by its architecture and a touch of romance ignited by its place among nature. Add to that the absolutely adorable shops, and you've got a spot made for the movies. Not quite ready for breakfast, I grabbed a small snack at a local bread shop. Calories don't count this trip. And then found a few more filming locations right in town. Yep, the second graveyard was the one, and I took a moment to also explore inside the well-maintained church dating back to the 1100s. Right next to the church is a pathway out to the countryside, and if you follow this for a few minutes and pass more than your fair share of cuddly-looking animals, you'll be heading in the direction of Iris's Rosehill Cottage. Yes, the cottage, the one that had me Googling how to move to England at 19 years old. Sadly, that dream home was merely a facade, built for the film and removed shortly thereafter. But in the true spirit of a treasure hunt, I thought it would still be fun to try to figure out exactly where it might have been. There's a bench along the path dedicated to the memory of Miss Christine Bates. If you come upon this, I'd say this is probably the closest you can get to where the cottage once stood. I spent at least 20 minutes here attempting to recreate a few shots from the film for comparison. Technically, I think the house was along this fence line next to the bench. It's private property though, so I obviously respected the boundary. In a fleeting moment of insanity, I was even analyzing the curl of nearby branches to see if they matched those which stood along the roadway to the cottage. I can't say that really helped my case either way. For good measure, I launched my drone attempting to take in a few more angles. Funny enough, the map on my drone app had the location of the cottage marked, but I think it was wrong. It seemed too far downhill to make sense with the sightlines. It was close though. And because I absolutely cannot rest easy until I've exhausted all possibilities, a trait which also exhausts me, I walked further down the path to see if the cottage could have been set a little further back. And you know what? This might be a contender. For reference, here is the bench, here is the church, and here is where I think the cottage might have been. This is where my drone thinks it might have been. And here is where I am now, right by the construction site. I mean, there is already a roadway there, and it's angled appropriately toward the church. What do you think? Near the bench or near the construction site? Where is Kate Winslet when I need her? If nothing else has convinced you to visit Shere, the majestic countryside surrounding the village center is among its most rewarding features. After all, the Surrey Hills have been designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty, and Shere is one of many places you can visit that upholds every ounce of that title. Back in town, I grabbed a seat at the Dabbling Duck and enjoyed a tasty smashed avocado toast and a green tea. My time in Shere was quickly drawing to a close, but I had 2 more production spots I was determined to find. Just needed to hop on a bus. Roughly 25 minutes from Shere lies the bustling market town of Godalming. It is vibrant and beautiful, historic and grounded, and perhaps my favorite tidbit I came to learn was that this was the first place in the world to have electric street lighting, which happened in 1881. Just beyond that extraordinary claim to fame is its recognition as the backdrop to some of our favorite scenes from the holiday. Well, maybe there are some other historic things to brag about, but we're here for the movie, and I'm almost out of time. There are 3 scenes that were filmed in this town, 2 of which are findable, and the third which I quickly gave up on. Let's start with that one, the classic scene featuring Cameron Diaz drinking her way through a local grocery store. According to what I could find on the internet, this was actually filmed in a candle shop here, but that location has been occupied by different businesses in the years since. So it would be completely unrecognizable, even if I managed to step inside. The next scene was one I was eager to find, the street which Amanda sped down on her way to that store. I walked around town for about 15 minutes trying to line up my photograph with the various shops, but wasn't having much luck. It was a great walking tour of the area, though. The town was lovely. There were a few corners and some streets that looked like they might have been the correct area, but they weren't quite lining up. Eventually, I honed in on this corn meter sign and prayed it was a business still open. A few minutes later, and there it was. Or was it? Something was still off. Did the building change? Am I at the wrong angle? I walked around, slightly lost, and as I wandered, I suddenly stumbled upon another corn meter. Go figure, 2 corn meters. This was definitely it, though, and what a cool-looking street to use. Directly across from this was the final location of my adventure, the scene where Amanda and Iris connected over the phone. What I loved about visiting this town was that it made sense to the film. If Iris really lived in Shere, then Godalming is likely the place she would visit to get some shopping done. So it's no surprise Amanda ended up here to grab snacks and enjoy an evening stroll. Sometimes in movie making, locations are worlds apart, but it's always intriguing to see when things work out in a practical sense. For me, it was easy to imagine Iris and Amanda here in the real world, and that is part of the fun in finding these types of production spots. So that's everything I could find. Let me know what I missed, and if you're interested in embarking on your very own treasure hunt, I've included a pinned map in the description of this video. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and as always, thank you so much for watching.